Though the gap between them grew wider with each passing year, rich and poor alike were greeted now, as they came into the city, by an astonishing sight, rising like an apparition from the middle of the bay. On the rainy, windswept afternoon of October 28, 1886, the gift the French had been trying to give for more than 20 years was finally unveiled, its pedestal paid for in the end by the nickels and dimes of hundreds of thousands of ordinary New Yorkers.
The promised land flies before us like the mirage. Material progress does not merely fail to relieve poverty. It actually produces it. This association of progress with poverty is the great enigma of our times. It is the riddle which the Sphinx of Fate puts to our civilization, and which not to answer is to be destroyed. Henry George.
5 days after the statue was unveiled, New Yorkers went to the polls. On the ballot was a brilliant social theorist named Henry George, committed as no candidate before him to closing the gap between rich and poor, and running on a platform that called for a land tax, better housing and working conditions, and free public transportation for the poor. Why should there be such abject poverty in this city? George demanded. We are toiling perhaps for Mrs. Astor, or the heirs of some dead Dutchman.
We have to remember that there's been a counter vision of what New York City should be, and it's been emerging out of the working class and immigrant quarters. An odd test moment of this takes place in 1886 when Henry George, a land reformer, runs for the mayoralty of New York City, and he puts together an astonishing coalition of the disaffected and the outcast.
But in the end, Henry George's United Labor Party was no match for Tammany Hall. Frightened by the strength of George's support amongst the immigrant poor who kept it in power, Tammany threw its immense machine behind a moderate Democratic businessman named Abram Hewitt, who attacked George's party as the enemies of civilization and order. On Election Day, he was resoundingly defeated, and the gulf he had hoped to bridge grew wider.